if you do not get reply from the investor after pitching to him or her,
never give up. Even if an investor said no to you at some point.
No doesn't always mean no. It's just the start of the conversation sometimes.
Don't take it too much personal, okay? I mean, it's not about you. It's about the project or the company that you're building or even the pitch that you are doing.
How did you approach this investment relationship?
We think that at least you have to follow up 3 times. I mean, it's very important to keep on pushing and keep on working.
Fundraising process, first of all, it's a full-time job. We all have the other job to do, right? So it's kind of, you work twice more than in normal life.
The more attractive you are to the investor as a person, better and faster you will close the deal.
From the start till the deal closure, from 9 to 11 months. Good day to everyone. This is Nelly Avlova and InnMind YouTube channel. And today we have a very interesting experimental discussion. It's not exactly the interview. It's not the round table or lecture. It is an entrepreneurial discussion about fundraising with 3 amazing entrepreneurs that just recently closed their funding rounds with venture capitalists. Today we speak about equity fundraising, and today we share the real stories of 3 startups. They are in different jurisdictions, they are in similar stages, and they have a lot of insights to share. So let me present you one by one our today's colleagues and discussion participants. So first of all, I want to present you ladies. Alina Kornienko is a COO and co-founder at Quppy neobank. Hi, Alina.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for inviting me, Nelly.
Yeah, thank you for being with us today. Then I want to present Yulia Druzhinnikova, who is Director of Global Expansion at FIXAR. Hi, Yulia.
Hi, Nelly. Hi, everyone.
And last but not least, I want to present you Xavier, Tous, who is the founder and director at Optimus Price from Spain. Hi, Xavier.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you very much for joining us. And just jumping straight to the point, I know that all of you just literally recently closed the rounds. And before we start discussing how did you do it, how did you manage it, and what was the most significant learning, can you please briefly, just in 1-2 minutes, introduce your startups? And who wants to start? I see very beautiful background in Yulia's back. So maybe you want to start about FIXAR.
Oh, sure. So actually, FIXAR stands for fixed angle rotors, our core technology we have in our solutions. And this is actually our flagship model, FIXAR 007. What doesn't mean that it's the secret agent 007, it's just the takeoff weight of 7 kilograms. So basically what is FIXAR? FIXAR is the software and design developer powering the autonomous unmanned aerial vehicle market. And we have the headquarters in Latvia, but we have the global operations, and we have presence in a lot of the countries globally. So that's what we do out from Latvia.
And I remember that you also overcame some physical barriers, flying very, very high, yeah?
Well, yeah, so now we fly, in terms of the distance, it's 60 kilometers max. And we had this case that you just reminded me is the Elbrus case. Elbrus is the highest mountain in Europe, and we performed the total autonomous flight at the 4,500 meters above sea level, what is absolutely industry-leading position in our segment, and we are really proud of this achievement.
The next step will be stratosphere, I guess.
You're right.
Okay, Alina, would you like to describe Quppy?
Yes, so Quppy is a fast-growing European neobank. And since 2017, we're building a social, financial, payment and investment solution for both individuals and legal entities. And we're bringing together traditional banking and disruptive financial and investment solutions within either an application for individuals or within a secure web interface for legal entities.
Amazing. And right now you are in growing stage, expanding to Latin America, if I remember correctly.
Yes, so we're extremely present in Europe, which is our domestic market. And we're now expanding to Latin America by offering some unique services with local currencies of this region. And later this year, we will be obtaining our own electronic money institution license, and we will be also offering some special services in the African region. So for the next year, our two main goals are solutions for US market and the Asian market.
That sounds cool. Looking forward to see Quppy operating in other countries as well. Xavier, please present the Optimus Price. What is it?
Yes, sure. Optimus Price helps retailers to increase their profits with an artificial intelligence platform that optimizes pricing, stock, and promotions. With our technology, our clients, retailers, increase their margins about 10% average, save time, and avoid human mistakes. Optimus Price was founded 3 years ago by researchers of the Barcelona Supercomputing Center and serial entrepreneurs. We have a highly technical team with 3 PhDs, 5 patents. And the last 18 months of sales, we have increased our MRR by 18 times. We have clients in 5 countries, from multinationals such as Nestlé, Sonai, and SEAT, to mid-market companies. And we are backed by Wayra. It's the investment branch of Telefónica Movistar.
So you got also funded by corporate venture capital, right?
Right. Yeah.
Wow, that's a challenge.
Telefonica. Yes, absolutely.
By the way, we will link to the company's websites in the description of these interviews. So if you want to learn more about FIXAR, about Quppy, and about Optimus Price, just click the links and learn more about these amazing companies. Plus, you will also find in the description the LinkedIn profile links of all the founders from today. Guys and ladies, all of you recently closed the funding rounds, bridge rounds with VC, venture capital investors. Many of you closed with European investors. And we found out while talking to different entrepreneurs, and not only first-time startup entrepreneurs on InnMind, that in reality, they have no clue what does it take to fundraise from the venture capital funds in today's world, especially if you are not based somewhere in Silicon Valley, but if you are based in Europe. Many of founders have a lot of misconceptions or illusions. Some of them in general understand that it is not so easy, but in reality, they still expect that investors should come quite fast when after the positive discussion with investor will not disappear and a lot of other things and nuances. So I wanted to ask you and start this conversation. So not to make it an interview, but to make a conversation. What did it take you actually? Maybe we start with some time frames or resources vendors. So what did it take you to close this round? So who wants to start sharing?
Yeah, so the thing is that we're speaking today about a very different reality, which is the pandemic, still not post-pandemic one. So we're living a social and financial economical crisis, the 3 of them at one time. So we can say that today the fundraising period has significantly increased, because there is the point about not only the pandemic, but also about a longer communication, about a purely distant communication, about somehow changed metrics and the attitude to metrics, again, because of those economical crises everywhere. So it means that if in the before COVID world, it took around 6 to 8 months of a non-stop work, 24/7, of 1 or 2 or 3 founders at a time. So now it increased up to 9 to 11 months, because all those due diligences, all those communications, the distant working, and then all of that influences a lot the whole procedure. Plus, there is the focus that's been changed. So now people are more investing in digital solutions, in medicine. So the priorities of our society have changed. And that's why it also makes the whole procedure of fundraising longer.
So from the start till the deal closure, from 9 to 11 months.
Yes. That's the reality now, not only in Europe, but also in the US, for example.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So in Quppy case, it took around 11 months. Yes. From the first connections until actually getting the money into your account from VCs.
Yes, in total. I mean, there were some total stops at the beginning of the COVID pandemic when nobody actually knew what's going to happen, when the first lockdowns were actually set up in different countries, in different regions. So that stopped a lot, and that's around the 2 months that were completely lost. I mean, at the same time, and partnerships and fundraising connections, they were a bit lost for 1 month or two, just because, again, those lockdowns that people actually didn't know how much time it would take to stay at home. Are the operational processes fully stopped or half stopped? So it was the very different case for every region.
Wow, that's really surprising. We got used to think about 4-6 months, and it's in general, but we mostly forget that a new environment requires new rules of fundraising. Yulia, I see you unmuted yourself. So tell me, how long did it take for FIXAR, considering that when you speak about hardware, it is always a kind of additional extra multiplier on the timing, I guess, and on the difficulty, or maybe I'm wrong.
Well, first of all, we're a software company, so we started as a software company, and we do continue as the software company. Additional to this, we have developed the design, so the one you see now in my background. And actually, I like the comment from Alina about the timeframes extended, and that's the new reality, and it's quite hard to pitch just online without looking into eyes to investor and shaking hands, etc. And it's all the obstacles and the challenging time, but at the same time, from the FIXAR perspective, we are lucky to work in so fast growing markets when all the use cases are booming everywhere, from Australia to the United States and Latin America. And thanks probably to our focus, as we're focused mostly on the North American markets and EU, that is our domestic market, we already have a quite impressive number of cases in the very important fields. So that's really supportive for our investors. So they see how we work, how many units are sold, how we perform overall. And so for now, we fundraise, speaking about our current round, we have just closed the, let's say, bridge round, kind of pre-A series round. And it is $2 million. We continue to fundraising. So the A series round is between 4 and 6 million, and we're right in the middle of it. So it took us about a few months, actually up to 6 months, to close the pre-A series round. And those investors, actually, they already kept an eye on us. So they already met us before pandemic. So we met with them. So we've been already on their radars. And looking at our progress and our traction, they were quite impressed. And so that's how it all happened. It's all the connections we've built so far. And they just come to the point, hey guys, we wanted to support you. We see how you're moving, and that's impressive. So let's do something together. We wanted to be a part of you, of your team. And so that's how it worked.
But did you approach any new investors, or all the investors on this round were those with whom you communicated way earlier before gaining this traction?
Yeah, actually both. So the new investors introduce us to their, friends of friends. A top manager from one company always wants to introduce us to his friend from another company, and they want to invest their money. They want to get a huge multiplicator. They want to be a part of the cool deep tech team, and that's exactly what we have. And new investors and the investors we already met previously, I would say.
Mm-hmm. So in your case, it was around 6 months, but the big role there was played by the fact that you had a huge connection base of investors previously, and plus they used the network effect to introduce you to new VCs, but it was a warm introduction, so it of course helped to break the ice.
Right.
Okay, cool. Xavier, in your case, you already were backed by Wyra, by corporate venture capital on earlier stage. So did it help you to close the round on this later stage, semi-seed A in between?
Yeah, it has helped. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in our case, we have also been like 9 months in all this process. In fact, we haven't finished at all yet. We have divided this pre-series A round in 2 phases. The first one we have called the private part, where we have been dealing with professional investors. And now we have just opened a crowdfunding campaign. Today we have just launched at CrowdCube. So I invite everyone who wants to join us.
The link will be in the description again.
Absolutely. I mean, well, because some clients, partners, collaborators had asked many times to join our project, and we had like a long list of people willing to join us. So we thought that a crowdfunding, it was an interesting way to let all that partners and stakeholders and clients to be part of the project, also to have more exposure and in international level. And it's also interesting because they are all joining a special vehicle. So, I mean, for those that think that, what about the cap table, etc. I mean, there is no issue there because they are all joining a nominee called, it's an investment vehicle. So it's, well, I mean, so we are just finishing. I mean, we will be this August with this crowdfunding at CrowdCube Open. And going back to how many people of our team have been involved in the process, we have been very focused, my co-founder Carlos and I, in this process. We have been like at least 1/3 of our working time absolutely focused on the fundraising. I mean, it's a lot of time because 9 months, at least 1/3 of your time focused on this task. I mean, it's a lot of meetings, a lot of presentation pitches. I mean, you know what it means. And well, I mean, here we are. I mean, it's been hard, but here we are, and just thinking in the next one. I mean, that never ends.
And in your case, speaking about the part of the professional VCs investing in Optimus Price, so did you contact new VCs on this round, or you got follow-up deals with the VCs from previous early stage round?
Yeah, we've had some follow-ons from current investors, but we have also opened our cap table to new professional and industrial investment new partners, okay? And that's also interesting because they open us to new industries that we can start to contact the potential clients. And so it's been a mix of both, right?
Then I'm very curious to understand, how did you, so there are 2 things when you start the funding round, correct me if I'm wrong. One is reach out to the relevant investors, so those that really match with your sector, industry, stage, etc. And second is to use the right channels. So Yulia already mentioned introductions of when one investor brings you hand-to-hand to another investor, and warm introductions, well, in general, they work very well, way better than cold emails. But still, it is, not everyone has access to the basic network that can introduce them to another network of investors. So 2 questions: how do you filter? How do you choose the right investors to contact? And what channels do you use in addition to warm introductions? So can you please elaborate a little bit more on that? Because I have the feeling that a lot of startups that spend enormous efforts in LinkedIn outreach or some databases, when they kind of hack investors' emails and then sending them directly in the mailbox, they receive 99 no response rate or 1% response rate or something like that. So very, very low. So what did you do to make it efficient?
Referrals are always for us the best way to get in touch, because you got the confidence from a third party that know each other. Then specialized platform like InnMind, for us has been very important and very useful to get in contact with relevant business angels and investors that really match with our profile. And that's very interesting, because otherwise you can lose a lot of time, as you were telling before, Nelly. And the hard way, it's also part of the work. Prospecting, cold calls, sending mails, and 1 of 10, sometimes you get a response and you can start to build something there.
And by the way, prospecting, you mean the tool prospecting, or prospecting like finding prospects as a process?
Yeah, there are like databases. You look for the VCs of your country, of your vertical, and you go to the contact part of the website. You fill the questionnaire and you send it, and you get responses. I don't say that you have 50% success response, but at least enough to keep on trying.
Okay, so in your case, personal introductions InnMind. Thank you for mentioning this. And then also different databases and manual work when you use prospecting to reach out to investors. Yulia, right. I see you passionately want to share from your side. I remember you had a huge list of investors you reached out.
Yeah, well, actually, I just want to say that, Xavier, I totally understand your approach because selecting the right investors is such a huge job. And actually, the fundraising process, first of all, it's a full-time job. Secondly, and we all have the other job to do, right? So it's kind of, you work twice more than in normal life. Secondly, it's pure sales process. You just sell another product, you sell the assets of your company, you sell your competencies, your IP, etc. And the target audience is a little bit different. And but overall, it's the same sales process. You need to know where your target audience is, whether they visit some tech events like Web Summit, Tech Tour, Emerge, whom I can find on InnMind platform or on some other platforms. And well, it works when you try to mingle all these resources and you try to check where is your target audience is. For example, our prospective investors, they definitely have to have some expertise in robotics or in some deep tech or in a mobility industry. So we can't be of interest for someone from, let's say, biotechnology industry or fintech, right? So, and all of them have the different perspective, and they have like different presence on the different platforms. And yeah, so the events in our case work really well. The events such as Web Summit, Collision, that's the North American version of the Web Summit, Tech Tour, Emerge, of course. LinkedIn, actually, I wouldn't highlight that it brought significant feedback to us, but intros really works. And overall networking is so powerful tool. Even if when we do some networking with the entrepreneurs, actually, and they can introduce you to their investors, they can, give some warm introduction to the investors they have just talked, and it really works. And so I would rank the events first, the networking. PR, actually, any kind of publicity always brings a lot of the sales leads and a lot of the interest from investors in our case. So any type of the really meaningful public relations campaign, they bring us significant feedback from the market.
And that's a very interesting point. You mentioned that PR brought you both leads, sales leads and investors. So how does it work when you publish the press release or some PR piece on the recognized media channel? Then investors reach you out themselves, or?
In a lot of the cases, they just reach out to us. So we have the good presence on the LinkedIn. All our leadership team, of course, have some profiles, and they can simply reach out to us, leave some message. We definitely reply, and that's how we built our network. And we have a lot of the positive cases. And actually, we have one case when one investor wanted to learn more about the investment opportunities. And then he said, well, you know what, probably not this time, but I wanted to introduce you to one of my friends, blah, blah, blah. And this guy, he is now our dealer in Africa. So it's all the partnership is two-way street, right? You never know what type of fruits it will bring you in the end. But overall, your investors can become your clients, or they can introduce you to another partners, etc. So it's how the world works, I believe. And all this, like, if we zoom out and we see the big picture, it's always a good thing to have the good publicity, to have the good partnership with anyone, whether it's your clients or partners or dealers or suppliers. They trust you, they wanted to work with you. If you do the good product, you meet all the requirements, you will get your nice feedback from them.
Mm-hmm. And in your case, Yulia, just from stats perspective, were you the only person in the team who was responsible for investment relationship, or you shared this responsibility with a few others? And what percentage of your time was dedicated during this half a year and more for the fundraising only?
Well, like I said, fundraising is the full-time job, but actually it's, I would say, three of us who's the most involved into this process. That's the founder and author of all our technologies. That's myself and our financial manager. So everyone contributes from her perspective, and that's how we cope with all this pile of job, with all the context, with all the DAX that should be focused each time for the particular investor. And the teamwork always helps.
Okay, amazing. Three people and at least one of them full-time job, and then plus additional resources from other teammates. I hope that is eye-opening for many of you who are watching this video right now.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you think that it was useful, relevant and valuable information, please don't forget to put like under this video, to leave your comments below, and ideally to share it with your social media networks. Please help us to explain to YouTube algorithms that we are doing valuable and relevant content for tech startup entrepreneurs like you.
Right now, Alina, what is in the fintech space?
I absolutely agree with my colleagues that fundraising is a full-time job. But you have another full-time job. Every founder has his or her own responsibilities, tasks, and teams. So you work twice or even three times more when you fundraise. All of the co-founders in our team were working on fundraising. I absolutely agree that there is, of course, a network that you have on your own and your co-founders do have, and you start to spread information about the project, about your team. It's of course about sales and about brand awareness. When you fundraise, you should be extremely present in media, at some conferences, meetings, local, global ones. And COVID helped us, all of us, a lot because it enabled to participate for a very lower price at some events that some startups just couldn't afford going physically. And it's about you telling your story. Fundraising, it's not only marketing or sales, it's storytelling. It's the right storytelling about you, your project, why you and what you will accomplish with your project and with investors' funds in 12 to 16 months. That's the main point that investors actually want to understand while you pitch your project. Of course, not only conferences, but such platforms, well, InnMind is the unique platform in this case that help with Shark Tank pitches and direct intros that help to find new possibilities, get to know new investors, and that taught us that actually you have to address the investors of your competitors, or the one who wanted to become an investor of your competitor but just couldn't when your competitors were somehow growing at your stage. That's the what actually Oscar told me, and that's a very precious advice he gave. So, and also another important point about actual fundraising is that, well, fundraising is also about a dialogue and about communication. Probably at an earlier stage, you talked with some investors. They said, "Hey, you're great, but you're too early for us." We know that's a common excuse that actually you get from investors, but still, it's about getting them to know a bit more about you. You've grown since that time. And you can just say, write a letter, "Hi, that's us. Probably you remember, you don't remember, but look, since we last spoke, we did this, this, and that. We became better. Probably at this stage, we both are worth each other. So probably that's the right time for the deal." And that actually helps a lot. Never give up. Even if an investor said no to you at some point, it can be next time the right time. So never give up the communication with all the investors you ever reached. And do not pay any advisors, fundraising advisors, especially at early stages, because actually you can do all that work yourselves. You know your business better than anyone, and no advisor will ever tell the right words that you can tell the investor and convince the investor.
Oh my God, can I write your words and quotes in stone and somehow make every founder to put it on their table? Because there are even few very important things. First, traction. Second, never give up. Traction is important to share with investors, even though they are not presenting very much interest. Once you share the traction, once you demonstrate what you can achieve, they can always change their opinion. Never give up. The same story, but even more advanced. Even if you heard no a few months ago, a few months later, you can hear yes if you do not give up. And the third one was about advisors. I know, well, in the equity world, in traditional startup world, it is not on that level of concentration. I see a lot of crazy things in the tokenized investments world, but still, even in Europe, even in Switzerland, Germany, Belgium, in all the countries, there are a lot of service providers that sell very expensive services for retainers for the fundraising process. And when we communicate with different founders, sometimes we hear very heartbreaking stories about how much money was spent for these services and what result was received. And usually it is the kind of zero result, yeah. In my opinion, if you want to get a fundraising advisor, advisor should be motivated to help you, not because of the retainer, but because of either some success fee or even better, if an advisor has some connections with your industry, with your sector, and in future, he or she can become even the team member or the advisory board member, or someone who wants to see your startup becoming a large and successful player in the market, and who is motivated by something else than just money and cash paid for this. So I even don't know which of these three core aspects to focus right now, but maybe a question to Yulia and Xavier. Have you ever dealt with services for fundraising, or not really?
Yeah, so, well, like I said, we use a lot of the warm intros. So we can say that probably some of our current investors are our agents because they promoted us, but I guess that's the little bit different story. And I like actually how Alina put it. It's all about communications and the traction that you can build with the sales, with some of your achievements, some rankings, some awards and other stuff. They will definitely bring the right people to you, to your business. And it's much more like a reasonable approach from my perspective to focus more on the real traction rather to spend enormous amount of money on some agents. So from our perspective, the clients, actually our clients and our use cases, our success brings us all the achievements we have so far. So all the investors reach out to us, they can always reach out to our clients and get the real feedback. They can learn a lot of our current success, and that's exactly where you should put all your efforts and all your time and energy. So it will definitely pay off. Not sure about the agents, but probably in some cases it works. Maybe based on some, some industries. Probably some biotechnology stuff needs some, direct introductions to some, I don't know, big pharma or whatever. But in our case, our traction works much better.
Mm-hmm. I remember years ago when I was involved in a biotech startup, I faced the offer while we were fundraising from one of the Swiss-based advisors, 3,000 Swiss francs, which is a little bit similar to 3,000 euros per introduction with potential investors. So I guess with these kind of offers, you can burn all the budget before even starting approaching investors.
And don't forget about the success fee.
Oh, yeah.
Additionally, absolutely. We haven't used that kind of professionals either. In fact, under our experience, we have seen that investors don't like very much that kind of professionals. They like to have direct contact with the founders, with the companies. They think that it's a kind of approach much more fresh when the founder or the company approach to them. And as Julia said, I mean, we have used sincere and from our community approach, okay, investor, even clients, other VCs sometimes have recommended us to other kind of VC that fitted better with our profile. So this has been working much more better for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, again, you are proving that personal introductions and network, it is really the king in all the aspects, and especially in the fundraising. And that is very important. But this also leads to another question. So one is the door opening when you reach out investors and when you establish the first connection with them, when, as Alina said, you do storytelling, sharing your story, and as Yulia said, opening the doors and bringing it new investors from the introductions and different platforms. But another thing is building relationship, and relationship means something different, something special that I see a lot of startups really forget about. So what I mean here is they pitch to investor, they receive feedback or receive reply that we will have to look at it. And then that's it, the communication finished. Startups are waiting for the feedback from investors. Investors are just doing their stuff, and there is no relationship anymore. And when I tried to analyze also the successful and failed deals on InnMind, the success cases when startups efficiently fundraised from investors, and in many of these cases, we also observed quite intensively the whole process. And those cases when we see great startup, a great opportunity, big potential, but does not work. They can't get money, can't fundraise. I see that in 99% of these cases, the difference was in the founder's approach in this building relationship. One founders can communicate with investors in between, reminding them, pushing, joking and switching to serious, updating with the traction, as you mentioned previously, and so on and so forth. And others are just waiting for something. So can you please share your experience or your advice? How did you establish this relationship? Because I guess you were not born with this skill. So how did you approach this investment relationship?
So if I can say that, well, startup is the field where you have a lot of stuff you never did before, and you learn while you go, right? And probably some founders or co-founders never did some sales. Now we all learn how to do sales, or the fundraising is pretty much the new thing for most of the founders and co-founders. So, well, yeah, we definitely support the communications with our current investors and with those whom we approach to, and we want to keep them in the loop and to inform them about our new traction and about our news. We have the separate newsletter for our investors where we share our success with them. For example, we have some new dealers, we have some new investors, or we've just entered some new location, some new countries, have new partners, etc., etc. And that actually also helps to support the communications first. Secondly, it also contributes into the goal to invite the new partners and new investors into our community, because they like, spending time with us. They like learn from us. They love to see how the company they trusted their money, how they develop. And they share this with their friends, with their partners, and that's how we also extend our partnership network. So that's definitely not the skill we were born with, but that's something we learn. And again, it's all this communication and partnership building, it all has the features, something a little bit from the PR, something a little bit from the client success management, from sales management, and just the personal attention to people who gave you your hand and said, hey, let me support you. It's so worth, building the conversation with them. And yeah, that's from our perspective.
Really cool. Xavier, did you have the newsletter to investors like FIXAR did?
Yes. We have a monthly newsletter with all the news that we have in terms of clients, financials, partnerships, opportunities. And also we have a private Slack channel where we share more day-to-day news and some things that maybe are not that formal, but are interesting to share with the ones that want to be there, because it's absolutely voluntary. And it's true that it's very important to keep on the relationship with the community, with the investor ecosystem, because we have seen that sometimes when we have approached to a VC and the response has been a no-go because we were too early for the investors targeted stage they were looking for, but we have seen that they were very interested to keep on with the relationship, because they said that there was a very good match in terms of technology, business model, vertical market. So, but the point was that we need that you have 10 times this MRR, or we need that you have that amount of clients for us to match our criteria of investment. So in those cases, I mean, it's very interesting to keep them in the loop, to keep on informing them of how you evolve, how you are approaching to those metrics that they were looking for, because in somehow you are so in the ground, and without especially investing a lot of time, you are preparing the next round. So
if you do not get reply from the investor after pitching to him or her, you just continue informing them about your traction, right? So you do not get offended or pissed off. You continue like nothing happened. By the way, we have this traction, we have these results, these clients, right?
Correct. It's very important to follow up. I mean, we think that at least you have to follow up 3 times. I mean, it's very important to keep on pushing and keep on working that relationship, because at the end of the day, I mean, they will remember the ones that have been more frequently in their mind. So it's important to be there very politely, I mean, of course, but it's important to be in their mind.
3 times before investor replies, or 3 times before you decide that this investor is not interested?
3 times until you have a clear response. Okay, I mean,
in general, your stats goes 3 times. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So shame on all those who give up after first or second follow-up without getting any feedback. Guys, minimum 3 times. Alina, how many times is your reminder rate? Or how often do you ping investors and inform them about your updates?
Informing about the updates, it's once a month. I totally agree with Xavier. Again, about how often you should be reminding of yourself and trying to ping every investor. It's very, very personal and depends on every single case. But there are some important points about the communication that you should remember. The first thing is, of course, general, newsletters saying, hi, that's our traction, that's actually how it changed, that's our new partnerships, number of clients, achievements, new services, etc. But another point is not this mailing that you send to all the investors you ever reached, but there's also about what Xavier also said, some special milestones that investors were waiting for. And it's a special dedicated reminder to some investor that said, hey, come back when you get, I don't know, 100,000 clients. So you're right. Hello, we've reached that. Let's reopen the conversation. And we also did this, and that. We did even more that you asked for. So let's rediscover our project together. So it's again about discovery. It's about getting to know better. And of course, you can add something if you participated in some initiatives, social initiatives, and so on. You have to always add this because it's an added value to you, because investors invest not only in the project, but also in founders as personalities. So the more attractive you are to the investor as a person, better and faster you will close the deal.
So do you try to become friends with each and every potential investor? Or it's not about friendship, it's about personal, I don't know, sympathy?
Admiration, sympathy. Yeah, so it's not about friendship, but it's about just getting to know someone. It's one point. And the other point related to sales. Of course, it depends on the product and project type, but it's a very good way to approach your investor as a potential client in case you can do that. I mean, that's about getting to understand the project more in a more personal way. It's about overcoming this frontier, this distance between an investor who meets you for the first time and your project. So if you can do that, that's the best communicative strategy you can take.
Okay, great. Guys, I promised to everyone to finish within 1 hour, but we still have 3 minutes and maybe even more if you have more time. But let me ask at least one last but very important question. There are so many questions remaining. Okay, let me choose one. What was the most surprising outcome for you after this fundraising process that you faced during last 9 months, 6 months, whatever it took? And what you wish you knew before you started approaching investors? Because I'm sure that each amongst 3 of you learned a lot during this process and you are full of various insights. So can you please share this number one thing, the most important thing you wish you knew, and you will help our other founders who will watch this discussion. They will already know it with your help.
Well, I can share from our perspective. So first of all, it's you need to, all the founders need to synchronize all their efforts before you start the fundraising. I mean, the marketing strategy, the PR, all the media campaigns. So everything, all the business processes should contribute into the fundraising processes. So if you know that you will launch some products, so probably it's better to move them into the closer to the fundraising process, just to enhance your presence in the media field. Then, well, the one more finding from my side is that, and I guess guys already mentioned this, no doesn't always mean no. It's just the start of the conversation sometimes. And one more thing is that you never know how the conversation will end, right? And probably it will become your advisor, or this person can come up with some ideas for your business model, or some other stuff can appear. And you always have to serve all these contacts as very valuable ones, even if you don't, if you even are not sure about the type of the cooperation you can build with this person. And you never know. And it's the really very challenging way. You should be courageous, and wish everyone just good luck.
That is really cool outcomes. And by the way, about no does not always mean no. In some cultures, no actually means yes, yeah, or something like that. Okay.
We just started.
Indeed, Alina.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Yulia on all those points. I just wanted to add that the most important thing is that actually traction rules, and do not always rely on investments, because as we spoke today, investments might take longer than you expect. So do not rely on it. Keep on moving, keep on developing your product. Always look into the market opportunity, and do not stop the product development while you fundraise, because during those long communications, it's great when you tell, hey, we've started a month ago and we had this traction, but today we've increased it, I don't know, 5 times, 10 times the revenue, I don't know, the customer number. So try to evolve while you fundraise. It's very important because the traction, it's actually what investors look at. And do not hesitate to say, for example, if you have a competitor but you're cheaper than a competitor, it's the best description of the competition.
Okay, so what do you mean about the fundraising runaway? Yeah, so don't start fundraising when you have 1 or 3 months runaway. Start it when you have 1 year runaway, so that you have enough resources if the fundraising takes way longer than you expected. So you need to be secured at least. Start as early as possible and not in the last days. And second, don't stop your activities when you start fundraising. So it should go smoothly, because again, you should not be so much dependent on the investors.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Xavier?
Yes, I totally agree with what Alina and Yulia said before. I would just add that it's an emotional side of this world. I mean, very important to keep on and build the passion into your pitch, because during all this process you will face a lot of no's. So you have to keep on smiling and make another pitch like if you had a yes before. And that's very important because it's a long way and you need to maintain the passion and a good mood during all the process.
Okay, so you mean not getting frustrated and be emotionally prepared, and advice on how to prepare?
Well, I mean, I imagine it's a matter of practice. I mean, that's something that you get at this method or this capacity during the way, but I would say that don't take it too much personal. Okay, I mean, it's not about you; it's about the project or the company that you're building, or even the pitch that you are doing. Because maybe it's very important to get feedback once you have a no. We always ask for a sincere and very accurate feedback, because it's the way to learn and keep on improving your pitch and try to make it better every time.
That's really cool advice. Be bolder, grow your skin so that it is not too thin, and don't take it personal, because a lot of founders, they take it so much personal when you criticize or even give not completely positive feedback.
Yes. And there's a fact that the venture community is small, so don't burn bridges, because you will find them another time. So it's very important not to take it personal and keep it professional.
Yeah, you definitely don't want your potential investor who did not invest to share the information that, oh, these founders are rude, arrogant idiots, yeah, or something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Xavier, for this advice. Alina, Yulia, Xavier, thank you so much for your time. The only thing I regret about is that I promised you 1 hour, because I understand that it was definitely not enough. But I suggest everyone who was watching this video to leave comments and questions below. And maybe if we have a lot of interesting questions, we can repeat it with the same company in a month or so that we can continue this topic. And I wish you all great success in your further development. I know that FIXAR will make Elon Musk feel jealous one day. Yeah, Quppy will definitely overcome Revolut, I believe it. And Optimus Price will be the big wish of Jeff Bezos to purchase it. Yeah. So thank you very much for sharing your experience, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
It's been a
Nelly, for
pleasure.
having us here. Thank you.